Hiya, and welcome back to Heart of Amethyst, the game that teaches us a Woga Wooga Titty Booby Peck Chest. Anyways, let's just hop right in. You gotta have the silence. I was gonna knock on my microphone, okay. The sound resonated through the entire room, forcing me to jolt awake from my sleep. Who could it be this early in the morning? Thought to myself as I rolled around in bed, putting a pillow on my head in an attempt to quiet the knocking. Personally, whoever it was could wait. I haven't had a good night's sleep in too long. The intensity of the knocking was getting louder and louder, so I placed a second pillow. On top of my head, hoping that it would protect me from the sound. Oh, for fuck's sake, someone better be dying. Coming, I said as I rolled around in bed towards the edge of the bed, lowering my feet and sitting up away from the bed. As my feet touched the cold stone floor that is not the bed, a single goosebump bristled my fur that is no longer on the bed. I remained in a seated position, trying to collect myself as I was still a little groggy from just waking up. Rubbing my temples, I stood up from the bed and walked toward the door. I was wearing my underwear only, so let's hope this visitor doesn't expect any decency. I grabbed the handle and opened the door far enough for just my snout to poke through. Yes? What is it? Did we accidentally go on the Roderick route? Son of a bitch. Oh, this is normal? Okay. On the other side, I managed to see Roderick tapping impatiently on the ground. Wolf's ears perked up at the sound of my voice, and as he turned around, our eyes met for a split second. Morning, Runt. Hey. Morning. Do you need something? Roderick huffed at the question as if I had just said something so ridiculous that he could barely believe it. No, Runt. I just want to see your pretty face. I rolled my eyes at the sarcasm as a faint smile escaped his lips. Aren't you a dear? But really, what do you need? I need you to drop by the prison later this afternoon. Know how to get there? No. But I can ask. Why, though? There's a situation. We've been trying to interrogate a prisoner, but he won't budge. In any case, he told us he would only talk to you, so I need your help. Why only me? Hell if I know, but this is last chance. Okay. I'll see what I could. Oh, god damn it, it's a prisoner almond. Good. That's all I ask. Did Almond get arrested? You know, for public indecency? No, it's no. Oh god, is it a Collis? He's like all. Is it Mr. Biscotti? I thought he went missing. Yeah, he went missing like 2 years ago. Looks don't mean shit. He nodded and then turned around. Before he left altogether, the wolf stopped in his tracks and looked at me over his shoulder. If he doesn't talk soon, we won't have any other choice but to execute him. Oh my god. Bear that in mind. And with that final warning, the man left for good. I then returned to bed, although I decided to just lay there with my eyes open as I wasn't feeling like sleeping anymore. Man, what a way to start my morning. Oh no, not again! I just managed to fall asleep! Please go away! Whoever you are, leave. Master? It's me, Zach. Oh. You may come in. Zach, please. I'm very sleepy. Yes, Master, of course, but it wouldn't bother me if this wasn't important. May I please come in? You're not going to leave no matter what I say, right? No? And fine, come in. As I said that, I rolled around on the bed for the second time this morning, and once again I sat at the edge of it with my feet gently touching the cold floor. The dog wasted no time pushing the door open and slipping aside, his tail wagging slowly and anxiously. His fur, normally sleek and well-groomed, was slightly ruffled, and his eyes, though bright, carried a hint of worry. "Master, you really need to see this," Zack said, his voice urgent but respectful. He dropped an envelope on my lap, then he started fidgeting as he waited for me to open it. "A letter?" "Yes, Master. It's marked with the seal of Arcanist, and it is addressed personally to you." "So, Akalis sent this." As I noticed the dog's worried expression, I raised my eyebrow at him, silently inquiring what was wrong. "So, please don't be mad, but I may have read it, and, well, butlers are not really supposed to do that." God damn it, Zack! You had one job! You had one job! No, 2 jobs! You had 2 jobs! Don't read our mail and stay out of our bedroom. Those are your only 2 jobs. Don't read our mail and stay out of the bedroom. And you failed at both of those. You're not even fired. We're gonna paint your ass red. But I promise I will punish myself accordingly. Here, take this flail, go to the courtyard, and just, you know what to do. It was a mere moment of weakness. Please forgive me. Eli looks so done with this shit. He just looks so done. "Oh, is that all? That's what you were worried about?" The dog's ears dropped as he looked down, his tail tucked between his legs. It was honestly adorable. "Well, I'm not mad, so don't worry. I'm not going to let you punish yourself for something so silly." He commit a felony! That was a felony, Eli! He commit a felony! Oh, wait, no, are the laws different in, wherever Eli is? Are the laws different? It's not a felony. It might not be a felony, actually. Yeah, it might not be a felony, actually. Could just be a depression. Let's just dig a hole and put him in it for like an hour. Would that work? Like we don't even like punish him. We just like that is his punishment. We just dig a hole and put him in it for like an hour. No, with no maggots. No maggots are in the hole. He's just in a hole. That is his punishment. 1 hour in the hole. And it is not like solitary confinement. It's like a literal hole. Well, in that case, make it 2 hours in the hole. Just put him in the hole for 2 hours. And then maybe put him in a cone of shame. He gets 2 hours of the hole and 3 days of the cone of shame. And eternal sadness for like a week. Are you trying to kill him? And I'm not going to let you punish yourself for something so silly. Oh, Eli, you are a much better man than I am. You are a much better man than I am. I was about to put him in a hole. Like, a literal hole. Like, that's all it is, just a hole. It's not solitary confinement. It's not filled with maggots, snakes, or spiders. It's not filled with any of that. It's just a literal hole in the ground. I was going to put him in it for 2 hours. Zack's ears perked up slightly at my reassurances, though his tail remained tucked. He glanced up with a mix of relief and lingering anxiety. Really, Master? he asked, his voice almost tentative. Yes, really. Just don't do it again. But now that I know you've already read it, let's cut to the chase and just tell me what it says, okay? Zach's posture relaxes a bit and he shuffles closer, clearly eager to assist. Yes, of course, Master! Stay off of our bed. The letter is an invitation to a formal reunion in the Royal Library. Apparently, Lord Acalis is allowed to bring a +1, and he thought of you as his best option. Really? I am literally the least fancy person he knows. Besides, another ball? Damn, I'm not sure if I'm feeling up for it or something. Someone better fall. Well, he did say he would really appreciate your company, but I'm sure he would understand if you don't feel like going. Yeah, you're probably right. Still, I would hate to disappoint him. Images of a sad Acalis dancing by himself and being constantly bothered by his awful family made me feel terrible about even considering not going. Especially knowing how much pressure he's under. Poor guy can't even read what he enjoys in peace. Still, I wasn't sure if I was ready to go through an experience similar to last week's ball. Does it say when the reunion will take place? It appears to be set for today's evening, Master. So you'd most likely have to start getting ready before the sun sets entirely. I see. Around the same time Roderick asked me to meet him. Well, let's not send him a proper response yet. I need to consider my options. As you wish, Master. I'll, leave you be for now. And with that said, the small dog left the room, making sure to close the door behind him. As the door clicked shut, I took a moment to sit quietly, the letter still resting on my lap. Well, maybe I shouldn't sleep any longer. The day went by faster than expected, and before I knew it, the sun was already setting in the horizon. Its light painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, casting long shadows across the landscape. At the time, I was just relaxing under a tree, as usual. Yes, I peed on the tree, that makes it mine. It's my tree. Peers keepers. I peed on that tree. That makes it my tree. That's how it works. That is actually not at all how it works. At the time, I was just relaxing under a tree, as usual. No, you can't do that. That's my tree. Trying not to think about my responsibilities or the fact that I would either have to go help in someone's interrogation or attend yet another high society social gathering. Both options I was certainly not looking forward to. So, yeah, as you probably guessed, I was just stalling the inevitable. But before I could make up my mind, I noticed a certain wolf sitting by himself at the top of a tower. I knew Almond was good at climbing, but damn! He's got some heavy balls to be chilling in such a high place. The idea alone was enough to send a chill down my spine. What a crazy idiot! Although the more I looked at him, the more it seemed like his head was tucked in between his legs. Was he crying, perhaps? Oh my god, are we gonna climb a wall? Ew, Amethyst, you're gonna do deforestation? That's an L. That's an L. Yeah, deforestation, that's an L. That's an L right there. We need trees. Not sadness. Or rather, we can combine the two. Have a bunch of tree houses. There we go. Although, the more I looked at him, the more it seemed like his head was tucked in between his legs. Was he crying, perhaps? I mean, I obviously couldn't hear him from where I was, but it certainly gave me that impression. Rubbing my eyes, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. It was unusual for Almond to seek solace so openly, especially considering the many fun places he could go to. Besides, I couldn't recall ever seeing him like this. He was often so happy and carefree, so I couldn't help but wonder if he needed someone to talk to. In any case, I wasn't sure I even had the time to talk to the wolf right now. Ah, fuck our responsibilities. Let's go talk to him. I had 2 other compromises and only one me. So a decision needed to be made, and fast. I was running out of time. Who should I spend my afternoon with? Okay, so our options are French kiss almond. Like, kiss almond with tongue. Go to a fancy pants party with a callus and get called poor. Or potentially witness a murder. All 3 of those options sound amazing. Kind of, not really. I really should go check on him. I'm getting a little worried. Besides, if he's feeling a little blue, I suppose I should be there for him. It's the least I can do for everything he's done for me. So with that thought in mind, I stood up from under the tree and soon got in motion. Each step I took brought me closer to Almond, but also deepened the pit in my stomach. What could have possibly reduced the proud and carefree wolf to this state? It took me a good 10 minutes to reach the entrance to Almond's bedroom, which was situated on the left wing of the castle, at the 5th floor. Knocked on the wooden door, waiting for a cheerful, "Come in," which was typical of the wolf. Although, as I had feared, only silence met my call. His door was slightly open, so I let myself in after 20 seconds without an answer. The inside of his room was messy and a bit dirty, which was also typical of the wolf. However, there was something more concerning about the sight than the mess itself, because even though he's often careless, all the stuff on the floor seemed to have been thrown around on purpose. Could it be that he had a fight with someone, or perhaps he was so angry that he crashed the room? Or he got pranked. Whatever it was, I now felt an even stronger need to talk to him. So seeing the side window wide open, I climbed through and made my way onto the castle's roof. Tried not to look down as an attempt to keep my balance and precipitate myself to my death. Almond was sitting a few feet ahead with his back turned towards me, looking worse for wear. He didn't notice me at first, lost in whatever storm was raging inside of his head. His shoulders were hunched forward, his arms resting on his knees, and he hadn't moved an inch since I first spotted him from below. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say or how to approach him. However, seeing this side of Almond was really getting to me, so I soon pushed the nervousness in my gut down to give room for something else. Sympathy. So I approached him, sat beside him, and cleared my throat softly to catch his attention. "Hey, Almond." His ears twitched slightly at the sound of my voice, but he didn't turn around. I could see his hands clenched into fists as he wiped his face, lifting his head slightly to meet my gaze over his shoulder. Oh my god, his makeup's running. I heard from somewhere. Ruin someone's lipstick, not their mascara. So who ruined this beautiful man's mascara? Oh, us? Oh shit, we might have ruined his mascara. Oh shit. Alright, how do we want to get punished? Yep, self-execution time. I could see his hands clenching into fists as he wiped his face, lifting his head slightly to meet my gaze over his shoulder. I also see he was holding a piece of paper on his left hand, which, after a quick glance, looked like letter. "What are you doing here?" he muttered, his voice rough and strained, a far cry from the jovial tone he usually carried. He moved a little closer, touching his biceps slightly, in an attempt to establish some sort of contact with the wolf. He didn't move away or say anything, so I took that as a good sign. "I saw you up here, thought you might want some company." Almond scoffed, though it sounded more like a weak attempt to sound tough. Oh, goddesses, this man and his fragile ego. "I'm fine, mate. No need for you to worry." Almond. "Mate, seriously, I'm fine. I can deal with it on my own." I frowned, feeling a strange mix of anger and concern bubbling up inside me. You know, you don't have to. Whatever's bothering you, I'm here for you. You don't have to go through it alone. There was a moment of silence between us for a while, and I could feel the weight of his internal struggle. Finally, he spoke, though his voice was barely above a whisper. "I got a letter." Okay. That's all I said, giving him enough room to keep talking, but also giving him the reassurance that I was listening to him. My family sent it. Oh, wow. This is the first mention of a family I've ever gotten from the wolf. He's finally opening up. My brother. His name is Snow Clearwater. I do not know that name. My eyes opened wide as plates, as I wasn't expecting such a big name to be related to someone like Almond. I mean, does this mean Almond is royalty? Perhaps I should start treating him with more respect. That's surprising. What did he say? Here, read it for yourself. Wolf handed me the piece of paper, which I grabbed with extreme care, trying not to let it be carried by the afternoon wind. Contents of it read, Dear Almond, how have you fared, brother? Has life been treating you fairly? I constantly pray to the goddesses for the answer of that question to be yes, but life has never been fair for you, has it? In any case, I don't want to bore you with mindless questions, as I know you won't answer back to my letter. Still, I really wish you would come back home. There is so much I want to talk about. There is so much to make up for. So please, brother, if you'll allow me to do just that, I would love to meet you again. I already talked with the king, and he thought it would be okay for us to see each other. Yet, I don't want you to feel pressured by this proposal. I'll be at the castle for a week. She said not to come before I leave. It will be all the proof I need to let you go. But if you do come, I assure you I will make it up to you for everything I've done. Always yours, Snow Clearwater. Oh, wow. This letter was so loaded with feelings that it even felt heavy in my paw. I glanced up at Almond, whose gaze was fixed on the horizon, his jaw clenched tight. There was nothing really for me to say. I realized I simply didn't know enough about him as to find the right words. The letter contained a lot. Too much, really. It was clear that whatever had gone down between Almond and his family, particularly Snow, ran deeper than a simple sibling rivalry. This was something darker, more personal. What are you going to do? I limited myself to say only that, as I didn't want to overstep. I mean, I was missing crucial information to make a judgment call on this subject. Was the brother evil? Was he good? I need more details. You going to meet up with him? I asked, gently folding the letter and then handing it back to him. He left. He left yesterday. When I got the letter, I didn't open it at all. Then I caught wind that he was already leaving, and I didn't think it would hurt this much. Shouldn't have opened it. It was a stupid decision. Almond's voice wavered, the weight of his decision pushing him down. He squeezed the letter in his paw as if the fragile paper could somehow bear the brunt of his feelings. I thought ignoring it would make it easier. I told myself that if I didn't read it, I wouldn't have to deal with it. Everything. Now I'm starting to regret it a little, you know? I may hate his guts, but he wasn't always like this. I shifted uncomfortably, unsure of how to respond. This was new territory for both of us, and I wasn't sure if Almond wanted comfort or just someone to listen to him. Do you want to talk about it? I said softly, taking a deep breath as I was trying to find the right words. I didn't want to mess up my chance to finally connect with the wolf in a deeper way. Almond looked up at me, finally meeting my eyes. His beautiful green eyes were red and puffy from all the crying, and even when he tried to smile, I knew for a fact that was not an authentic Almond smile. Alright, I trust you. Let me tell you the story of the Clearwaters. Almond took a breath, and while looking at the horizon, he started talking. It all started with a man called Ludwig Clearwater, Lord of the Clearwater dynasty and the only legitimate heir to the house. Ludwig was a man of emotions, driven by the desires of his heart, a strong believer that compassion and love were as strong as any weapon. He ruled over the entire Dominance province with this belief in mind. The thing is, royals don't believe in true love like Ludwig did, so when he turned 25, he was forced to marry the daughter of an important political figure in the land. Cassandra Mallister, an Arctic wolf with gorgeous white fur. Cassandra and Ludwig ruled together. They even had two beautiful babies whose names were Sugar, the eldest daughter, and Cloud, the eldest son. His life was perfect. He had power, a beautiful wife, 2 wonderful kids, and a descendant who would take after him when he became old and ill. Or, that's what everyone thought, but in reality, Ludwig was not happy. He loved his kids very much. He was a wonderful husband and an even better ruler. He never found the one thing he wanted the most: true love. Or so he thought, because 6 years after he got married to Cassandra, a woman named Emerald started working at the castle. Emerald was a simple woman. In fact, she was born as the 5th daughter of a very poor family. That meant no fancy dresses, no fancy makeup, no fancy hairstyles, and not even fancy fur color. It was brown and ordinary, in contrast to that of Cassandra's. And yet, whenever she smiled, it would take Ludwig's breath away. Oh no! Oh no! I think I see where this is going. Take Ludwig's breath away. Soon enough, they fell in love. Oh shit. Ludwig found what he wanted the most, a woman who loved him for who he was, and not for who he was supposed to be. So even if it was forbidden, they promised themselves to each other. And from that promise, a baby was born. A brown baby, unlike his other kids, with features so similar to his father's that doubting his heritage would be folly. Ludwig was overjoyed with this, but his happiness was short-lived, as Emerald died a few hours after giving birth to their son. His son was not the last of Ludwig's kids, though, as just a year later, Snow Clearwater was born. In any case, it's easy to believe that the bastard's life would be a happy one. After all, he was a son Ludwig had with the woman he truly loved. But no, things were never that easy. Cassandra wanted the kid to be executed, but Ludwig managed to quell her rage by saying the kid would be just another servant. Like that, the kid grew under the wing of his father and the constant abuse of his stepmother and half-siblings. Not always bad. The youngest, Snow, took a liking to the bastard. They would often play together, eat together, and sometimes, away from the eyes of the others, do sleepovers. They were really happy. Good things never last for a bastard, as in the middle of a very cold and unforgiving winter, Lord Ludwig fell ill and died, giving the throne to his oldest son, Cloud. Cloud, influenced by his mother, gave word to execute the young bastard, who at the time was just 14 years old. Little Snow heard this and rushed towards a small tower where his brother slept, informing him of the situation, begging for him to leave the castle at once. The bastard did as instructed and fled that very same night. He survived on his own for over 10 years, trying his best to forget his royal lineage or to even think about his past family. But one day he received a letter from his dear brother Snow. Apparently both Cassandra and Cloud had died of a plague that had hit the castle a few months ago. Begged his brother to come back, assuring him that now that he was the lord of the Clearwaters, he could come home. The bastard was hesitant at first, but the memory of his dear brother convinced him to return. Once he made it home, though, instead of the warm arms of his brother, he was met with the cold realization that he'd been played for a fool. Cassandra, Cloud, and many guards were waiting for him, ready to imprison him. And even though the bastard tried to escape, this time he didn't manage to. A few months after, a party was planned to celebrate the execution of the Clearwater bastard. Brown Wolf had already accepted his fate. Months of imprisonment and solitude can do much harm to the mind. Chat? I think we're gonna have to kill someone. I think we're gonna have to kill someone. Yep. Murder! So he was ready to die. But fate is a tricky thing, and apparently word of his execution had reached the king. A king who was close friends with Ludwig and knew how much his bastard meant to his late companion. So only hours before his supposed death, the wolf was set free. Given a second chance, he swore loyalty to the same king that had saved his hide, and so far, he hasn't regretted doing so. Once he was done with the story, Almond sighed deeply and then looked me in the eyes. I thought I was the one supposed to be crying, he said with a soft smile plastered all over his handsome face. I hadn't even noticed, but indeed, I'd gotten teary-eyed over the course of Almond's story. Sorry, I said while wiping out the tears. It's just... man, that's so unfair. Almond like that. Oh no! Almond's smile softened even further. His eyes were gentle and understanding, but still carried a lot of sadness in them. You don't have to apologize. I know it's a lot. Maybe I shouldn't have told you. I shook my head, still wiping out my eyes, embarrassed by my own reaction. No, I'm glad you did. It's just, I can't believe you had to go through all of that. It's so unfair. You deserved so much better. You still do. Almond's gaze flickered, as though my words had struck something deep inside him. For a moment, he didn't respond, just watched me with an expression I couldn't quite read. His usual bravado seemed to have slipped away, revealing something raw and vulnerable underneath. You really are one of a kind. I tilted my head at this comment, incapable of understanding if it was an insult or a compliment. What? Before I could say another word, the wolf ripped and threw the letter into the great abyss and then looked back into the horizon. Thank you for listening, mate. For caring. I gave him a weak nod, trying to downplay the emotions swirling within me. So not wanting to let this opportunity go, I moved closer to the wolf and leaned on his shoulder. Wanted to let him know that he wasn't alone. That's what friends are for, right? Almond chuckled to sound low and warm, and for a moment, the tension in his shoulders eased. Yeah, friends, he said while smiling. There was something in his voice that made me wonder if there was more he was letting on. I looked at him, and the way the fading sunlight framed his face, highlighting the strength and softness in equal measure, made me feel certain things. Suddenly, the idea of being just friends felt a lot more complicated than it had a few minutes ago. Alrighty. Take your pick, Roderick or Collis. We lost. Once Royal Ball was over, Eli felt like his problems had just increased by the tenfold. That combined with a creeping sensation that something big was brewing behind the curtains had left him drained. So on his third day in the castle, Eli has to face a gruesome decision. What to do with his spare time. You want to start here? Yes. Know what? It has been ages since I last trained. It felt like forever since I had that duel with Eddie and I didn't want to get rusty. Besides, what better place to train than the Royal Castle's barracks? I'm sure the exercise will help keep my mind off of things. Between the dreams and the stress of the looming position as a royal advisor, I've been feeling like my head is going to explode. It's time to take these puppies for a walk, I said to myself, referring to my muscles, which have increased in mass since I started training with the sword. So, not wanting to delay any further, I stood up from the bench and walked off towards the barracks training ground. Once I made it there, though, I was not expecting to see so many people. At least half 100 men were either sparring or using dummies as their partners. Some of them were using wooden swords, but most of the men here were actually practicing with real steel. Gosh, I hope it's edgeless steel, or else an accident is bound to happen. No, he did! He unironically called his muscles puppies! And yes, in case you were wondering, most of them were shirtless, so there's no lack of eye candy. In any case, I tried to stay out of their way as much as possible. Wandered around the field, trying to see if there were any extra wooden swords for me to train with, but so far no luck. Actually, some of them were just practicing with their fists, so I'm guessing there must be no spares. Defeated, I sighed and leaned against one of the surrounding trees. I bent my head backward and closed my eyes. Starting to feel very sleepy, plus the sound of clashing steel and manly grunts was somehow relaxing. Yeah, we already read all that. Fucking Zach. harbor. Well, I guess that place is as good as any to take a stroll. I better get going, though, after all. It's not exactly a short distance from here. With that idea in mind, I stood up from the floor. My legs and back were a little sore, but nothing major. Goodbye, my friend. We shall meet again. As I said that out loud, I noticed how weird it would look to anyone had noticed me hugging a freaking tree. Tell me you've never hugged a tree without telling me you've never hugged a tree. Hugging trees is awesome. This is coming from someone who's done it. It's awesome. Hey, hugging a tree is awesome. It's like one of the, well, where you're like all your limbs wrapped around it while you climbed it, because if it was, then you hugged a tree. See, that's the thing about hugging trees. They can't betray you. Trees can't betray you. Say that out loud. As I said that out loud, I noticed how weird it would look if anyone had noticed me hugging a freaking tree. So, not wanting to embarrass myself any longer, I just stepped away from the tree and started walking toward the castle's gates. Damn, I'm weird. To be honest, I don't know what drove me here in the first place. Could it be the memories of my childhood? Maybe. I spent most of my younger years either here or at Mr. Biscotti's shop. Though the former doesn't hold as many good memories as the latter. Mostly because I used to be a delinquent and a thief. And believe it or not, I really want nothing to do with that life anymore. It's given me enough headaches as it is. I'm sorry, sir! As it was often thought, I hardly noticed a little boy bumping into me. The boy was a young puppy, seemingly a collie dog. Aw, he has no eyes. Like, he can't see. His hair's in his face. And apparently he was in a hurry, as he hardly acknowledged my existence, walking past me as fast as his tiny legs could carry him. At first I just brushed it aside. He was just a kid, after all. However, the more I thought about it, the more it struck me as odd. I mean, why would a little boy be by himself in this dangerous side of town? I furiously searched my back pocket, looking for my coin purse and making sure it was still there. That little shit! Damn pickpocket! I tried to run towards the same direction as the little thief, but it was too late. I'd given him too bit of a head start and could no longer see him among the crowd. Luckily for me, it didn't take long for another person to fall victim to this little scoundrel as I heard a woman screaming in the distance. These sound effects are going to be the death of me. That's great! Crowd formed around the lady who kept on screaming her heart out, telling everyone to please give her purse back. Keeping my eyes peeled, I scanned the surroundings. I knew pretty well that looking for the thief in the crowd was a waste of time. Chances are he's already banished from under their noses. I've been in his shoes once, so I know all the tricks. How to disappear under the crowd, weave between legs, and vanish into thin air. Which makes me think. Look around, searching for any small alleyway or gap a kid could fit into. People that were running around like headless chickens were not helping one bit. But I knew that if I found where he had gone to, I still had a chance to get my purse back. And maybe that lady's. But where? Where did the little thief go? Where would I go if it were me doing the robbing? As that thought crossed my mind, I saw it. Just a few steps away from the yelling lady, there was an open lid that led to the city's sewer system. Of course, why didn't I think of that? It's stinky as fuck, but it gets the job done. I've personally used him as an escape route countless times. I just needed a trace to follow him, but what? Before I could finish that thought, my eyes landed on a big, puffy white object. The old lady's wig was the answer I was looking for, as it was most likely impregnated with her perfume. Same as her purse. The smell that would lead me straight to the thief, and hence my coin. Without any further hesitation, I dashed through the crowd, and in swift motion, I snatched the old hag's wig off her head. He looked so proud of himself. Just like grabbing an old woman's wig. He looks so proud of himself. He's like, oh yeah. She screamed, thief, thief, will someone do something? As she tried to cover her real hair with both of her hands. Just like the kid before me, I vanished into the sewer in a matter of seconds. Yep, I still had the touch. Like, oh hey, let me borrow this. Just like Mr. Dolores. The stench hit me like a punch to the face the moment I dropped into the sewer. It was as bad as I remembered. Worse even. I pushed through, though, holding the old woman's wig in front of me like a flag. It was a bit ridiculous, but the empowering smell of the perfume was the only lead I had to finding the young thief. Heavy floral scent of her perfume clung to the wig, and luckily for me, I could already smell a few faint traces in the tunnel. Like any good canine would, I decided to follow my nose. The sounds of the bustling harbor above faded, replaced by the echo of my footsteps and the slow drip of water in the sewers. We're gonna get arrested. As I delved deeper, the scent grew stronger, leading me down a narrow path, then to a dark corner where the shadows shifted just slightly. We're gonna get arrested. Up ahead, there was a sort of makeshift shelter made with wobbly-looking sticks and a few rundown cloths. Side of the den, there were some hay bales joined together that were working as beds. There were two. There you go, you're doing great, big bro. Head behind the corners, I heard the voice of the little kid. He was turning a corner opposite to where I was. And he wasn't alone. He was helping an older version of himself move around in the difficult terrain. The other collie's leg seemed to be busted beyond repair, its left foot looking sideways instead of forward. It was completely broken. Thank you, said the big brother as its younger sibling helped him sit on top of the hay bales. I felt a knot forming on my throat as I watched the scene unfold. These two kids were living in the sewers by themselves, no adult to look after them, and no proper bed to rest on. Border collie. Aside from that, the older sibling was unable to move around properly. That's probably why the younger one had to retort to pickpocketing. Look, big bro, I scored big today. A few suckers didn't even notice I'd taken their stuff. Puppy turned a bag upside down, and soon enough a bunch of stolen objects fell from it. Coins of all kinds, jewelry, and yes, among the stolen purses, mine was right there. Little thief crouched down, rummaging through the stolen goods. He hadn't noticed me yet, as they were too focused on what they thought was a clean getaway. Man, what do I do? I feel really bad now. How can I blame these kids for stealing my belongings when their situation is so dire? So my entire allowance is in that purse, so I should at least try to get it back. Hey, are you both okay? Said while stepping out of the shadows. The younger kid jolted, whipping his head around in panic. His eyes went wide as he saw me holding the wig. Meanwhile, the older one looked between me, the stolen goods, and his brother multiple times, probably weighing his options given the situation. I'm not going to harm you. I don't want any trouble, okay? What do you want? The older sibling tried to stand up, but he soon lost his balance and ended up face first on the floor. Big bro! The younger collie reached his brother's side, helping him back on his feet. Man, my heart can't take much more of this. Kid, what happened to you? Said, trying to sound calm and comforting, but the two of them were too on edge to notice that. What do you care? Just leave us alone. Look, I want to help, so please tell me what happened. Liar, liar! All adults lie! Go away! I raised my hands in surrender, keeping my voice low and calm, hoping to look as unthreatening as possible. I'm not lying, I promise. That purse is mine, that one right there, remember? You took it from me and I followed you, that's all I did. But now, even though I want it back, I haven't taken it from you, have I? No. Yeah, exactly. Look, kids, I really want to help you with your situation, but you'll need to trust me first. Got it? After my little discourse, the two collie puppies seemed a little less on edge. Younger brother still clutched to his older sibling, eyes darting around as if looking for a way out. He was clearly the less trusting of the two. I know things are rough for you guys, but living down here, stealing, it's only going to get you into more trouble. Let me help. Help? The older brother spat, struggling to stand still even with his brother's help. We don't need help from someone like you. We've been fine on our own. I shook my head, glancing at his busted leg. That leg says otherwise. How long do you think you can last like this? How long until your little brother gets caught and you die down here? Youngster's grip on his brother tightened, and the older one winced in pain. I could see the battle in his eyes. He didn't want to admit it, but he knew I had a point. No! No help from an adult, big bro! Oh, I'm so conflicted right now. I'm so conflicted. No, we're not gonna kill them. Because, like, on one hand, they need help. On one hand, they need help. But on the other hand, I grew up in America. And in America, there is no social safety net. If you get robbed, you get robbed. It's a matter of life or death. I'm of the mind, let's just take our money, and then leave. That's my thought. We just take our money and then leave. No, no help from an adult, big bro. You promised we wouldn't trust them anymore. Not after what they did to your leg. My eyes opened wide as plates, unable to believe someone would dare do something like this to a kid. A grown-up did this to you? Yes, a guard. Our parents died in a fire and we were left with nothing, so I started stealing to survive. That's when I got caught and that bastard broke my leg. According to him, he was setting an example for the others. The older sibling clenched his fist as he bit his lower lip, clearly frustrated and angry at the unjust situation. Well, believe it or not, my head was almost chopped off by the guards too. So I can understand what it feels like to get caught by one of them. How did you get out? Well, I was lucky enough for a kind man to take pity on me, sparing my life. Memories of those events still lingered in my brain very vividly. Personally, I will never forget the massive beatdown Roderick gave me that day. Talking about Roderick, maybe he can help me with the situation. He's got connections and he's a captain of the Royal Guard, so if I tell him one of his men did this to this poor kid, it's highly likely he'll take responsibility. Hey, by the way, buddies, what are your names? The older sibling hesitated for a moment, glancing down at his injured leg before answering. Kian. Mika. Well, Kian and Mika, it's nice to meet you both. My name is Eli Biscotti. Will you both offer me a chance to help you? Can you trust me to do that? Why? Why would you want to help us? What's in it for you? Kian's eyes narrowed, skepticism clear. I sighed, glancing at the small pile of stolen goods that Luca had dumped earlier. I used to be like you, Kian, running around, stealing from others without thinking about the consequences. The only difference between us is that I got offered a second chance and you both haven't. So, I'm offering you the same thing. No strings attached. I just don't want to be the monster that left 2 children to rot in the sewers. It wouldn't feel right. Crouched down to their eye level, trying to smile as gently as I could, wishing for these 2 tortured children to open their hearts to a complete stranger. I knew it wasn't going to be an easy thing, as they probably haven't been given any kindness since their parents died, but I was willing to try. How? How you help my big bro? Little Mika, the brother who had been the most reserved the entire time, finally opened himself up to my words. I will take you both to see a very good friend of mine. He's a guard, but I promise you he's one of the good ones. No way! All guards are the same! They are rude, aggressive, and cruel. I don't trust guards! You know, I used to think the same. For me, they were all monsters in shining armor. Then I met this guy named Roderick. At first, I really disliked him. I thought he was a total jackass. Soon I started to notice he wasn't like the others. He's strict, sure, but he doesn't tolerate injustice. He's kind in his own way and cares a great deal about people's safety. He has a very rough exterior, but he's funny when he wants to be, even sarcastic sometimes. And I don't know how to explain it, but you just feel safe when you're close to him. If I could notice what I was saying, my cheeks already turned a little red from just thinking about the night. 2 kids looked at me with a confused expression, but I brushed it off as if it were nothing. My point is, if I tell him what happened to you, he'll listen. I'm sure he'd be willing to help you both. Maybe even bring the bastard who did this to you to justice. So, what do you say? Will you come with me? There was a long silence as the brothers processed my words. Kian looked at Mika, whose grip on him had loosened, but who still stood close by, eyes darting between me and his older brother. What if he doesn't help us? Kian asked quietly, the idea clearly starting to grow on him. Well, I know him well enough to know so. Hyun's eyes softened just a bit, the pain and exhaustion of living in the sewers clearly weighing on him. For a moment, he let out a heavy breath. Fine, but if you're lying and this Roderick guy's like the others... He's not, I promise. Now, come on, let me carry you, yeah? Okay. Mika still looked unconvinced, but he didn't say anything as I lifted Hyun off the ground, carrying him as we made our way towards the exit of the sewers. I just hoped Roderick would be in a helpful mood when I brought this to him. I was betting everything on him. The constant glazing. That's quite the tail runt. Sure about the legitimacy of these kids' story? Roderick, why would they break their own leg and then live in the sewers? Of course I believe them, don't you? There was a pause. The big wolf looked into the distance, letting his eyes linger on the two children who were resting comfortably under the roof of a house. I'd found the knight patrolling the streets of the lower city. Luckily, he's easy to track down. You just have to ask any guard where the captain is and tell them it's the king's business. Roderick's arms were crossed over his chest, and I could see the gears turning in his head, weighing the situation. I knew the wolf wasn't one to take things at face value, but even he had to admit the kids didn't seem like they were making it up. I don't doubt their story. On the contrary, I think you did the right thing for once by bringing them here. Still, I can't just toss accusations and expect that the corporal will turn themselves in. Roderick? Said, stepping closer to him, my heart beating faster from the anger that was starting to build up inside of it. They're just kids, and they've been through enough already. If we don't do something, who will? Roderick liked that. Roderick let out a sigh, his gaze still fixed on the kids. Then his gaze turned to me, his eyes narrowing slightly. Fine, I'll look into it, but if they're lying, you'll be the one answering to me. Really? Oh my god, it says thank you, thank you, thank you! Before the man could complain about it, I hugged him as hard as I could. Even as I tried to squeeze him tight, though, my arms wouldn't reach all the way around his massive frame. Still, try I might. Thanks, Roderick, I knew I could count on you. He grunted in response to that, but weirdly enough, he didn't break off from the hug. Decided to just endure it silently, and I decided to take full advantage of this unique situation. Tee-hee! Sure you haven't forgotten about your paint-stealing friend. Oh shit, he must be talking about Hugo. I haven't thought about him ever since. I probably shouldn't, but now I'm worried about that idiot. In any case, he told us he would only talk to you, so I need your help. God damn it, Zach. Roderick. Perhaps it's not the best idea to keep the knight waiting. After all, he told me this interrogation would be really important. A life may be in my hands, and I don't want to feel guilty for that loss. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Alman. I'm sorry, Akalis. You'll have to understand. Prison cells were located in a separate building inside the royal castle. Still, I had to walk for a few minutes and ask for directions to get there. Once I got there, though, I was met by a structure completely made out of gray and brownish stones. A huge difference from the white bricks and the marble the main castle was made of. You could not see the interior quite well, as the windows were very small and most of them had iron bars welded over them. Besides, even if I squinted my eyes, I could hardly see a thing past those bars, as the darkness of the interior was as deep as the abyss. In any case, I decided to approach the entrance promptly, not wanting to remain outside any longer. However, as I was going in, two guards eyed me with suspicion, but they didn't say anything, just nodded as if they had been expecting me. Hurried inside, my feet echoing against the stone floors as the heavy iron gates creaking open. But as they closed, a quick thought crossed my mind. What the fuck was I getting myself into? The inside of the building was not much different from the outside. There were many rows of cells, one in front of the other in lines. The only light sources were the torches, the previously mentioned windows, and a gaping hole in the ceiling which gave a perfect view of the moon. Anxiety started to nest in my brain as I wondered where the wolf would be. Maybe I should... Oh, brother, nice to see you again! Without me noticing, a man had snuck behind me, taking me by surprise. Jumped at the sound of his voice, then slowly turned around to meet them. Although who I saw was not exactly a pleasant sight. Eddie? What are you doing here? I'm working, brother. Not that I expect you to know what that is. Yep. This is Eddie, alright. Still as sour as ever. In any case, please follow me. Captain's waiting. Without saying another word, the wild dog turned his back at me and started to go down a flight of stairs that was nearby. That's a dog? I thought that was a hyena. I reluctantly followed behind him, making sure to keep a distance, as I didn't want to be close to the guy. We walked roughly for 10 minutes, to the point where I couldn't tell where the exit was anymore. The man didn't say a word, which I personally appreciated, as it gave me the chance to inspect the dungeons. People inside the cells were completely covered in darkness, making it almost impossible to see them. I just knew they were there because I could hear them. Luckily for me, as he crossed to the left one last time, I managed to see Roderick's tall frame in the distance. He was waiting with his arms crossed and a scowl that could cut through steel. He tapped his foot, his impatience clear as any day. "Captain, I brought Sir Eli as you requested." Eddie announced proudly, saluting his captain as it was normal protocol among knights. Meanwhile, Roderick just grunted and nodded, not even taking a moment to look at the boy. "You're free to go." "Yes, sir." And as simple as that, Eddie vanished back into the darkness, not sparing a single word or even a look. "About time, runt," Roderick grumbled, his sharp eyes scanning me up and down, lingering a moment longer on my disheveled state. "Something wrong?" "No, it's nothing. This place just gives me the heebie-jeebies." "Eli? Is that you?" Oh wait, I got into the voice. "Eli? Is that you?" Out of the darkness of the cell, a man rushed to the bars, grabbing them tightly with both of his hands. The man in question was Hugo, leader of my former gang in past. Never mind that. "Please, White, you gotta get... Please, White, you gotta get me out of here, man. This place is horrible. I can't sleep, I can't eat. It's like I'm trapped in a nightmare." "Silence!" Roderick roared, making Hugo shut up on the spot. I could even swear I saw the wall bricks shifting in place. "You're because you refuse to give us answers." "Fuck you, old man! I ain't talking!" As an act of defiance, Hugo flipped his finger at the wolf and then returned to the darkness from where he had come from. Roderick rubbed his temples and sighed, clearly tired of the situation. "Look, Runt, the guy's stolen way too many things from way too many important people. We know that because many old reports link him to those crimes. Told him multiple times that his life would be spared if he returned the stolen goods. But he's refused to cooperate. And you want me to make him talk? He asked specifically for you, after all. Use any method you see fit." "Okay, I'll try." "Good." Wolf leaned against the wall, crossing his arms and looking over me with a solemn expression, as he usually does. I, on the other hand, decided to sit in front of the cell door. "Hey, Red, I'm here." At first there was only silence, but after a few seconds Hugo spoke up. "Tell that fucker to leave. I'm not saying shit unless we're alone." Look up to meet Roderick's gaze, using my best pleading eyes to silently ask him to leave. He sighed, stepping away from the wall and looking down at me with a concerned expression. "I'll be back in 10 minutes. He said, then turned around and vanished inside the darkness just like Eddie before him. "Okay, Red. We're alone. We can talk now." Hugo's face slowly emerged from the shadows, the dim torchlight casting eerie flickers across his handsome features. His eyes darted around nervously, clearly distrustful of the place, but as they landed on me, his dry lips turned into a smile. "Thank you for coming, White. I didn't think you'd actually show up." Hugo muttered, his voice hoarse as if he hadn't drunk any water in days. "Yeah, well, I'm here now," I replied, keeping my tone neutral, trying my hardest not to let him see how much this presence was affecting me. "Why haven't you talked to them? They're going to kill you." "Don't you think I know that? I would if I could, but I can't." "Why? What happened?" "White, I don't have a coin to my name. All those stolen goods are gone." "How? I thought you were saving up to leave the city." "I am. Was. But then this guy showed up and told us he would help us go big, and I lost everything." "He stole from you?" "Every Andres." Goddesses, Hugo, how can you be so stupid? You're played again? Shh, keep it down, White. I sighed, leaning back a little, unsure of how to fix this man's stupid mistakes. "You should still tell them. Come clean." "Then what? They'll kill me once they know I don't have their shit. White, please, you have to help me." Hugo's pleading eyes and defeated expression was making it hard for me to keep a cool exterior. After all, this idiot always had that effect on me. If you don't plan on cooperating, why drag me into this? Hugo's eyes met mine, and for a split second, I saw the same person I used to know. Cunning, clever, and always knowing a way out. You're my way out, White. Or more specifically, that. Dusky pointed at the golden ring that held together my cloak. I can turn that into a picklock. Then when they're not looking, I'll make my move and escape. Unbelievable! You... It's me to bust him out? The nerve of this man! For all the wrongs he's done, he still wanted me to help him break the law again! I felt flustered, but not because of embarrassment or shyness, but anger. Pure rage was bubbling inside me, ready to burst at this idiot in front of me and bash his face against those bars. How can you ask me that? You know I work for the king! Precisely why I chose you, White. You are my inside man. In more ways than one. Tried to flirt, but I was so frustrated that I could hardly care less. If they find out I helped you escape, all I've worked for, they gave me a second chance. I'm not going to throw it away like that. Come on, White. I'm begging you. Do it for me. Do it for the old times. Dusky extended his hand and caressed my cheek. Do it for that. And I hate to admit it, but it felt nice. His tender gesture was more than enough to break down my defenses. Like always, he knew just what to do and say to make me dance to his tune. Was I really such a bad boyfriend? A bad lover? Did you really not enjoy a single moment? Those nights together, doing it under the stars? I remember it as if it were just yesterday, and I miss it dearly, White. So please help me one last time. Hugo's words hit me like a punch to the gut, stirring up emotions I thought I'd buried long ago. My heart was racing, but I still tried my best to keep my face neutral, refusing to let him see the effects his words were having on me. He was playing with my emotions, using my memories against me, just like he always did. Broke eye contact with him, trying to steady my breathing. Hugo, that was a long time ago. Things have changed. I've changed. Have you really? Because to me! Yes, me! You still look like the same White I knew! Only now, your life is in my hands. It always been, White. I always gave my life to you. You were my everything. I love you. Clenched my fist, trying to hold on to the anger, the sense of betrayal that had built up over the years. This man knew exactly how to dig under my skin, how to make me question everything. You don't get it, do you? I'm not that person anymore. I'm trying my best to get out of that life, to get away from you, from all the lies and chaos. Hugo's face fell, his expression shifting from hopeful to desperate. I know, White, I know. But I don't have anyone else. You were the only one who ever really cared about me, even when I didn't deserve it. I messed up and I'm sorry, but please, help me, White. One last time, I'm begging you. If what had meant anything for you, please. His words tugged at something deep inside me. The memories of us, of the bond we had, was stronger than I wanted to admit. What we had meant everything to me. Said, finally deciding to be honest with myself. Tears formed at the corners of my eyes, threatening to drop at any second. I loved you! You were my first love. After years of searching for my little sister to no avail, you showed me that there were other possibilities. You made me think that it was better to leave the past to be the past. I even considered running away with you. I wanted to throw it all away for you, but you were just using me. And just like that, when things got ugly, you just left me. You know how I felt that day, the day I was in a cell similar to this and you never came for me? If it hadn't been for Mr. Biscotti, I would have rotted in there. Hugo's eyes widened, and for a moment I saw a flicker of guilt cross his face. It was rare for him to show any remorse, but hearing me pour my heart out like that seemed to strike something deep within him. White, I'm sorry. No, you're not, Hugo. You left me. You left me to fend for myself in that cell while you ran off and saved your own fur. You didn't even try. I uttered a bitter laugh, wiping away the tears from my cheeks. Meanwhile, the husky didn't say a single word, unable to come up with any excuse for what he did to me. That was when I decided to stand up from the ground, ready to leave him and never come back. I regretted it every single day, I swear. Yeah, when it's not too late, we can still be together. I'll be the man you want me to be. Just please, give me another chance. Looked away, my emotions swirling in a storm of anger, hurt, and something I hated to admit, pity. Despite everything, there was a part of me that still cared, even though I knew I shouldn't. But at the same time, there was a part of me begging me to move on, which was screaming at the back of my brain to leave as fast as possible. No, I won't do it. I won't help you escape. Wait, please, I won't let them kill you either. Even though you hurt me, there's a part of me that still cares. So, you'll tell them everything. You'll tell Roderick how you lost the goods and that you're very sorry. You will tell them that you're ready to repent and that you'll work hard for the king's forgiveness. What happens after that, it'll be up to Roderick to decide, but I won't let him kill you. That, I promise you. But after I do this for you, we're done. I'm taking you out of my life, Hugo. Goodbye. As turning around, I felt my heart breaking to pieces. My eyes were crying tears of sorrow, but also tears of relief. Wait, there's still a chance for us. Don't leave me here. I invested holding back the tears as I backed away from the cell, although at that point I was unable to control my emotions. How can he be so selfish, so self-absorbed? And why the hell do I feel guilty? It makes no sense. None whatsoever. I knew there was no use thinking about it, but my emotions and inner thoughts were eating me alive, pulling me under a constant sense of dread and sadness. All I wanted to do right now was to reach my room, bury my face on a pillow, and scream out loud. Fuck it, I might even do it without the pillow. However, as I turned the corner to head upstairs, I was met by the huge frame of a certain knight who was leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. His eyes flicked as he saw me walk in, but he remained quiet, simply scanning me from top to bottom. Well? It's done, I said, looking away from him, not daring to meet his gaze. Last thing I wanted was to start crying in front of the knight. Nonetheless, Wolf never averted his eyes, as if trying to figure out my inner thoughts by simply looking. You did the right thing, Runt, finally said, stepping away from the wall and closing the distance between us. I froze at Roderick's words, my heart still pounding from the emotional weight of my conversation with Hugo. What did he mean? Was he eavesdropping? If he was, then he knows. He knows everything. What do you mean? Were you listening? Never left. Well, I guess the cat is out of the bag. Now the knight even knows everything about my relationship with Hugo. You did the right thing, he repeated, his tone steady but caring at the same time. This time he was talking less like his usual self and more like someone who has been there. Well, it doesn't feel like it. I kept to myself, hugging my arms tightly and looking away. I just wished to end the conversation as soon as possible. Besides, this wasn't any of his business, so why? Why was he insisting on being nice? It's not like he's particularly good at being nice anyway. No, you know, deep down it was. Yeah, sure, whatever. Once those words left my mouth, it felt like the whole room was closing in on me, trapping me inside with no way to run away. Hugo's words echoed in me, dragging me through places I hadn't let anyone near in years. I felt scraped out, hollowed by the words that didn't bruise the skin but still left something bleeding. Roderick shifted his weight. The sound of his armor filled the space between us. He walked closer to me, closing the gap between us, and then... Before I could notice, my back was against the wall and the knight's massive frame was looming over me. This is not your fault, Roderick said again, his voice calm and sweet, something unusual from him. Yeah, I know. Bastard deserved it, right? I looked away, trying to shield myself from the knight's piercing gaze. Eli, look at me. This is not your fault. I wanted to do as he said. I really did, but there was something keeping my eyes glued to the ground. Was it shame, sadness, or perhaps something else? I didn't know anymore. Yeah, I know it wasn't. Then why can't you look at me? The knight was insistent, as if he wanted to prove a damn point again. But no, not this time. I did not want to listen to another one of his sermons. Roderick, stop it. I just want to go. This is not your fault, Eli. All those things he said, none of them are on you. I know! Don't you think I know that? Just fucking let it go, okay? Tried to push him away, but Roderick didn't flinch, standing his ground like he usually does. The silence that followed felt like a punishment. His or mine, I couldn't tell. My breathing had turned shallow, uneven. I didn't want to cry. Goddesses, I didn't want to cry in front of him. Stop it, Roderick. I don't want your pity. Who says I pity you? I would if you had done anything different, but you didn't. You did the right thing. Another long pause. His eyes were piercing holes through my skulls, and I couldn't help but feel vulnerable and small. Well, it doesn't feel right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I told myself I didn't care, but I do. I fucking do. Roderick stayed quiet, letting me speak without interruption. My life has changed so much lately. No, who am I kidding? My life has been all over the place since I was a little kid. And I always try to make it right. I try and try, but no matter what I do, I always find a way to screw everything up. I'm just tired. So fucking tired of pretending. Tired of walking around like nothing's wrong. Just keep going forward. Everything has a solution, right? Well, it doesn't feel like it. Roderick didn't move. The wolf just stood there, quiet and steady like always. It pissed me off how grounded he seemed, like nothing could shake him. I hated it. Ran a hand through my hair, fingers trembling. The rage and angst boiling inside me were making it hard to think straight at this point. I'm not like you. I muttered under my breath, voice cracking halfway. I can't walk around like everything makes sense. I can't stop myself from doubting every step I take. Maybe, but you've changed. You're not the same person I met. You may not want to believe it, but you're doing things right. And this is not your fault. I'm barely standing. Barely still counts. Those words that he said, perhaps simple in nature, were just what I needed to hear. My body leaned forward by itself, breaking down as soon as I touched his shoulder, my head hanging low and my eyes crying rivers. My silly little act of strength broke down in the blink of an eye. Roderick didn't say or do anything at first, he just stood there like a rock. However, that's just what I needed right now, a solid rock to stand on. My pathetic little whimpers echoed throughout the entire dungeon, resonating and bouncing on the dark stone walls. Hopefully whoever hears me thinks someone is being tortured. Wait, why did Roderick like that? The seconds turned into a full minute, but before I could pull away, his heavy and warm hand landed gently on the back of my head, pulling me just a little closer. Not forcefully, just enough to let me know he was there. And for the first time in my life, I was happy he was. Yeah, everything is going to be okay. Man, call me crazy, but I believe him. One more route. We have one more route. So let's do it. Okay, so we did the blue, did the red, now we're doing the green. I think. Did you win or lose the fight against Eddie? We lost. We made the princess. Yes. Once the ball was over, Eli felt like his problems had just increased by the tenfold. That, combined with the creeping sensation that something big was brewing behind the curtains, had left him drained. So, on his third day on the castle, Eli has to face a gruesome decision. What to do with his spare time. Do you want to start here? Yes. Nope, green's a collis. Blue is almond. Ah, shit. I can't remember which one it was. Fuck. Son of a bitch. Well, I'm a dumbass. You know, the investigation. Yep, it's based on eye color. That's the thing. There are no saves. The saves don't exist anymore. We just go based on chapter select. There's nothing like a good read to set the mind at ease and maybe even put it to sleep. Also, I haven't read a good book since we left the island a week ago. All that has happened makes it sound like forever ago, but in reality I can still see myself roaming the halls of Laguna Fortress. Can't believe I spent 3 months of my life in there, and now all of a sudden it's gone. Although, to be honest, that's how hectic my life has been as of late. Wish I could go back to my old room, though. I really miss it. And I even started to get my own personal book collection, as a Collis or Roderick would bring some to me after their workdays in the city. Maybe I could ask the king if I can get them back. In any case, I decided not to dabble deeper into nostalgia and just get going. No use thinking about the past. No time like the present. The higher city streets were bustling with activity. Citizens of all kind walked around, either enjoying their day or working hard to earn today's salary. I decided to join the first group, strolling around the stone roads as I casually looked into the displays of some shops I passed by. There weren't many good bookstores, though. As I walked, I hardly spotted any. To make it worse, I think one of the only ones I saw was just a scrolls and ink sale. This whole ordeal makes me appreciate the value of books as a whole. You don't really need them to survive, not in the way you need food or shelter. In other words, books are more of a luxury, a thing some people can collect and admire for their beauty as much as their content. I was lucky growing up. One of Mr. Biscotti's favorite things was to collect were books, which meant we had a decent collection. Meanwhile, the vast majority of people live and die without ever touching one. But knowledge is not merely a luxury, it holds power. A sword can defend a kingdom for a generation, but the words inside a book can change the course of history for centuries to come. Besides, books hold the power to make their author immortal. These people leave their legacy behind, marking the course of history in one way or another. Although as incredible as books are, knowledge can also be dangerous. Knowledge can make us question power, stir rebellion, or even lead someone down paths no sword could ever carve. Perhaps that's why they've become so rare. It's not just the cost of parchment or ink. It's knowledge itself that holds monetary value. Sadly, most people don't think of books as necessities because they can't see the immediate benefit from them. Yeah, that's also what I heard. To be fair, I can't really blame them for thinking that way. When survival hangs in the balance, the need for knowledge becomes secondary. As I trailed behind my own thoughts, a delightful smell invaded my senses. It was the scent of fresh ink and parchment. Turned my head in the direction of this aroma, setting my sights in a little bookstore tucked between two grander shops. One to the left was selling jeweled trinkets, while the one on the right appeared to be offering linen and other fancy fabrics. Directing my attention back to the bookstore, I caught a glimpse of a wooden sign which read, "The Scholar's Refuge." The name itself was a little silly, but at the same time interesting enough to pique my curiosity. I even wondered what type of books would be offered in a place with a name like that. Taking my eyes off the sign, I noticed how small the building was, almost half the size of the rest of the houses on this street. Which really made me wonder if the Royal Library was monopolizing the book market. In any case, with a purse full of coins ready to be spent, I decided to enter the unique shop. First thing that hit me as I opened the door was the smell of floral incense, possibly sage? The place wasn't large, but it had a cozy, almost magical feel to it. Shelves were crammed with tomes that looked far older than any book I've ever owned, although probably not as old as those I saw in the library. Those were actually ancient! In any case, I walked to the front desk wearing a cute little bell that was sitting on top of it. Oh, one moment! Someone said from the back, whose voice sounded a bit agitated. Soon enough, a pile of books crashed on top of the desk as a very fluffy, black-furred wolf dropped them on top of the wooden top. His fur was a little messy, and I could see some dust on top of his black nose, meaning that he was most likely cleaning. Welcome to the Scholar's Refuge, sir. My name is John. Happy to have you here. Is there anything in particular you were looking for? Well, to be honest, Wolf seemed everything but happy to have a new customer. Actually looked quite tired. His eye bags were very prominent. His eyes were a bit red and unfocused, like he hadn't slept properly in days. Maybe you wonder if that was a common occurrence between scholars, as it reminded me of a certain wolf. No, not really. I was just thinking about browsing for a bit. Absolutely. We have a vast selection of books for you to choose from. We have manga, manhwa, American comic books, how-to guides for drawing. We also have sauce. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the books. We have yaoi, we have yuri, we have bara, we have books about Dami muscle mommies and Dami muscle daddies, we have non-binary, ex-non-binary, we have furry visual novels. Take a look at the furry visual novels. We have Echo, Ad Astra, Chord Progressions, Bandit Healer X His Neighbor Pat fanfiction. We have everything you could possibly want. Just say the word if you see anything you like. I will, thank you. And with that, the wolf returned to the back of the shop. I, on the other hand, stared dumbfoundedly at the great selection of tomes and scrolls laid in front of me. I could easily get lost in these halls, however, would that really be such a bad thing? Doesn't sound like a bad idea. It's just me and books for an entire day, away from all the outside problems. Was expecting to run into you here. Nicholas's voice made me jump higher than I'm proud to admit, though in my defense, I was not expecting anyone else to be here. God, it says you scared the living crap out of me. Oh my god. Can I twin with the Collis? There are a lot of Daves. I'm gonna try to twin with the Collis, and that means actually putting my glasses on for once in my miserable life. I look like a discount dubstep DJ. No, that's not a joke. Right now I look like a discount dubstep DJ. I think he's a maned wolf. My apologies, I believed you had seen me. The Kryn wolf seemed apologetic enough for scaring me, so I decided to let it slide. Besides, he clearly didn't mean it. It's fine, it's not your fault, man. Why are you here, though? That's basically what I look like. Walmart variety. It's fine. It's not your fault, man. Why are you here, though? Well, I decided to purchase a few books for my personal collection. Oh, yeah. Aren't the books at the Royal Library enough? Why would you need to buy more? Let's just say this type of book cannot be found within the library. Oh my god, he's reading smut. He's reading smut. Nicholas's cheeks turned a little red as he hid the two books that he was carrying behind his back. Oh my god, he was reading smut. Perhaps they were those fantasy novels he liked so much. Those smut. He didn't mention he was not allowed to read those in front of the bookkeepers or his uncle. After all, it was unbecoming of the Grand Master to waste their time with that kind of literature. Whichever the case, I decided not to push it. Last thing I wanted was to make the wolf feel uncomfortable. Anyway, may I ask you the same question? Well, it's a long story. To make it short, though, I've been having some horrid nightmares lately. So my butler, Zach, decided to bring me all the way out here for a healer's appointment. Once that was done, I had some time to kill, so I walked around and ended up here. I see. Personally, I would have recommended you the same. Getting healer's perspective is always a good step to take when you're feeling ill. Smurf. Step when you're feeling ill. However, with a problem as abstract as yours, perhaps the answer doesn't lie within a healer's knowledge. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. The old man just recommended that I drink some tea. Isn't that ridiculous? Well, it's true that some herbs may help you fall asleep faster. The thing is, falling asleep isn't the problem, but rather attaining a restful night. So I'm kinda screwed. How about you ask the attendant for any books about sleeping? Perhaps he's come across one that will help you in your predicament. Maybe he's right. I should look for something that will help me with my sleep, because I'm sure those stupid plants won't do the trick. Okay, sure, no harm in trying, I guess. Let's hope there's something in here about how to avoid nightmares. Yeah. As agreed with the wolf, I rang the bell once more to call the attendant's attention. It took John only a few seconds to reappear in front of me, although he seemed to be even more dusty than before. Yes. Do you have any books on about how to sleep better? I've had some very disturbing nightmares in the past few days, and I'm having trouble resting properly. The wolf placed a hand on his chin and looked up, probably trying to remember any book that would fit my needs. Perhaps I do. In a quick motion, the man grabbed a small journal he had concealed on his pocket and flipped through the pages, stopping under the letter D. Dreams, dreams. Here it is. Dreamweaver's Journal, Shelf 12, Section 6. Please follow me. Without another word, the wolf set off in a random direction. We followed him through the narrow aisles where the scent of old parchment and dust grew heavier as we went deeper into the store. Shelves stretched above us, packed tightly with volumes in every shade of leather and paper. Oh my god. I was in a similar situation, except it wasn't for a how to sleep guide. It was for a book that the bookstore ended up not having. It was a Berserk Volume 3. I can never find Volume 3 of Berserk. I might have to order it online. Shelves stretched above us, packed tightly with volumes in every shade of leather and paper, but honestly, I'm not that worried about it. Some crumbling at the edges, others meticulously bound and gleaming like they had just come from the scribe's desk. We arrived at Shelf 12, Section 6, where John reached up and carefully pulled out a small, unassuming book, bound in dark green leather. It had no title on the cover, just simple, elegant symbols etched in gold. A crescent moon entwined with vines. This is the Dreamweaver's Journal, John said, brushing a bit of dust from its surface. There's only 5 copies of this book in the entire world, as it was written by some unknown bird scholar in the years of the First Great War. Wolf seemed proud of himself, almost as if for the mere fact of obtaining this item was a grand accomplishment of its own. Besides, this is the first time I've seen him express any emotion aside from boredom. The scholar believed that dreams were more than just the workings of our mind. They thought nightmares were messages, warnings from the gods, or glimpses of things to come. There are also long and complex explanations as to how to traverse these dreams, training the mind into being able to fight off the nightmares. Wow, really? That's amazing! Yes, it's a very unique book. He handed the book to me, and as I flipped it open, I saw the pages were filled with delicate handwriting along with odd symbols and diagrams. Many have found solace in this text, their practices within it. Ways to calm the mind and the soul. You should buy it before someone else does. After all, I can't assure whether this book will be back in stock or not. Finding a copy is already hard, let alone 2. You're not actually buying any of this crap, are you? Akala said with his eyebrow raised and his arms crossed. Bitch! I mean, it couldn't hurt to try, right? I thought you didn't believe in this kind of thing. I shrugged, flipping the pages again. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Besides, if it'll stop me from spending another night waking up in cold sweats, I'll try anything. Even the stupid herbs of the crazy book. Even if it's a half-baked theory from an unknown bird scholar? You jest, dear Grandmaster, but the amount of knowledge the old bird empire amounted to was astronomical. This is why I don't fuck with birds. This is precisely why I do not fuck with birds. Because of how smart they are. Birds are smart. No, it's closer to birds 73, me 0. Well, actually, no. It's like birds 73, me 2. If we're, like, keeping exact count. You shouldn't underestimate them. The Colossus huffed at John's comment, but decided to say nothing else. I tapped the cover of the Dreamweaver's journal, feeling its strange weight in my hand. Nightmares are warnings from the gods, huh? Makes you wonder what kind of warnings I'm getting. Colossus gave a small supportive nod and again decided not to make a comment. Instead, he looked around the dim aisles of the shop, tapping his foot in a thoughtful manner. I'll take it. I finally said to John, who smiled brightly at my answer. Wonderful, let me wrap it up for you. Wolf grabbed the book in his hands and then headed back towards the counter. Colossus and I, on the other hand, stayed by the shelves, none of us saying a word. Although there was something in my mind that I wished to discuss with the wolf. You know, I keep thinking about my mom. She was the best healer I ever knew, which means that she didn't believe in superstitions or God sending messages through dreams. She and my dad were non-believers, actually. She'd probably laugh at the idea that I'm even considering this. The Colossus liked that. Perhaps. I know I am laughing at you. I looked at him with the most offended expression I could muster, which made the wolf chuckle. Internally, of course. Still, it doesn't mean there isn't wisdom in exploring different ways of thinking. Even the most rational minds can overlook what lies in the realm of the unknown. As I looked in the wolf's eyes, for a split moment, a thought crossed my mind. It's pretty cool, isn't he? Lost in thought as I was, I almost missed a certain orange-furred wolf that walked by the edge of my vision. First, I didn't think it was a Colossus, probably someone who looked similar to him. After all, he's probably buried in work at the moment. But the more I thought about him, the more uncertain I became. What if it was really him? Given the fact that he still hadn't seen me, I decided to trail behind him, curiosity getting the best of me. Walked at a reasonable distance from him, hoping that he didn't notice me. My mind soon drifted to the many possibilities that led a Colossus to leave his precious library to roam the busy streets of the market. Could be that he's just buying a little souvenir. But what if? And I'm finding one of a Colossus' deep, dark secrets! That type of gossip doesn't just drop from the sky, you have to earn it. Besides, there was something about his hurried pace and the way he was keeping his head down that made me really curious. As I followed him, the busy market gave way to the quieter streets. The sound of haggling and laughter faded, replaced by the occasional murmur of a passerby or the distant clop of hooves. I hardly knew this part of the city, never been here before. Furthermore, the wolf was making so many sharp turns that I thought we were lost. Where was the wolf going? We walked for many minutes, so many that I lost count. The sky started to turn gray, threatening us with the possibility of rain. Looked past the wolf for the first time and my eyes locked on a certain structure that stood up from the others. In front of us there was a big building that had similar features to the churches that are spread around the city. This one, though, was more of a cloister than a church. Upon closer inspection, I managed to see a bronze inscription which read, St. Cyril Mental Institution, home to the city's mentally ill. Huh? City's mentally ill? Never heard that term before. Makes me wonder what type of institution this is. It's in the name! By the name alone, I can guess that this is a place where insane people live, although I'm not sure I'm correct. More importantly, what is the wolf doing here? What sort of business could he possibly have in a place like this? Whichever the reason, I soon watched a Colossus approach the entrance to the building. Steps faltered slightly just for a moment before he spoke to the guard. Took them mere seconds as they exchanged few words too low for me to hear, which ended with the guard nodding and allowing a Colossus through. I stood there for a moment, debating my next move. Perhaps I should leave and respect his privacy. Fuck, even if I actually believed that, there was something that wouldn't let me turn away. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe I just wanted to make sure he was okay. Whatever the case, I mentally decided that I wouldn't leave the wolf alone. A few seconds passed before I decided to approach the gate, pretending to be out of breath. The guard eyed me suspiciously, his hand resting on the hilt of his weapon, ready to strike me down. It was a scary thought. Nonetheless, I kept my act up, not even showing a smidge of fear. I have first-hand experience with bigger guards than you, sir. You don't scare me one bit. State your purpose! I'm with the scholar who just entered. Let me through. I tried to talk with the most stoic and commanding voice I could muster, trying to play it off as if I were someone important to not be messed with. Raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. Lord Colossus didn't mention any visitors. Are you blind, perhaps? I was but mere steps behind him. Sort of the goddesses, that wolf walks too fast sometimes. You cannot pass. Just as he said that, I acted as if he had just insulted my whole family, using Princess Ruby as a perfect reference for that. Well, do you even know who I am? I am Sir Eli Biscotti. I'm the newest retainer hired by His Highness himself and a close friend to Sir Acalus. So unless you want to answer the king, I'd advise you to let me through. God damn it, Eli! This is why no one likes you. He hesitated, obviously unsure if anything I was saying was actually true. Luckily, the guard decided to play it safe, opening the gate behind him. Charisma check passed. God damn it, Eli! Slipped inside before he could change his mind, my heart pounding as the oppressive silence of the cloister enveloped me. Man, I can't believe the old "do you even know who I am" trick actually worked. It was totally awesome. Never do that again. In any case, I decided to not dwell a little longer at the entrance, or perhaps the guard would change his mind. The interior was cold and dimly lit. The air felt thick and heavy with the smell of damp stone and age-old misery. There were some extravagant paintings adorning the walls, alongside with some banners and candles. As I explored the premise, I heard the echo of footsteps, a faint scream, and then the shuffle of something metallic, which could perhaps be the keys or the clanging of a gate in the distance. Moved slowly and carefully, my ears alert for any sign of Acalus. Long, narrow corridors stretched ahead, leading to rows of small barred doors, which only had a small gap or window from which you could see the interior of the rooms. Or cells, as you could hardly call them a room. Some were empty, but in some others there were people from all genders and ages trapped inside. Couldn't help but wonder what sort of crimes they could have committed, but I decided not to pay much attention to that. After all, I had a wolf to find. As I walked down the corridors, a heavy silence of the cloister pressed against me, broken only by the occasional shuffling from the rooms on either side. It took me at least 10 minutes of walking before I got any sign of life rather than the people inside the cells. There were footsteps echoing ahead, so I decided to follow them. Soon after I heard a familiar voice from the wolf couldn't be far from here, which proved to be true because I almost bumped into him as I turned a corner. Hid behind a wall as quickly as I could, and luckily it looked like he didn't notice me. Acalus was standing in front of one of the doors, wearing his usual poker face, the kind he uses when he doesn't want to let his feelings show. Although there was something different in his posture, his shoulders were down and his tail was tucked between his legs, showing his distress. This was actually the first time I've ever seen him this distressed. He stayed back, hidden behind the corner, but close enough to observe. He didn't knock, he didn't call out, he didn't even move an inch. He just waited. The silence stretching out between him and the door as though it were a barrier he couldn't quite bring himself to cross. Leaning close, straining to hear anything over the other side of the door, but the room was quiet as a tomb. Only sounds I could hear were the distant shuffling of the other patients down the hall, occasional cough, the muffled scream, or muttered word from behind the other barred doors. It was eerie. The silence, I mean. Almost like the whole cloister had been forgotten by the rest of the world. Finally, Acalus exhaled slowly, his shoulders stiff as a board. For a moment I thought he might turn away and leave, but he didn't move. Instead, he placed his hand gently against the wooden surface of the door, his fingers brushing the rough grain as though searching for some kind of connection through the barrier. "Father," he whispered so softly that I almost didn't catch it. And his voice, that was usually steady and unchanging, cracked a little. He waited a little, probably waiting for a response from the other side, but as it never came, the wolf carried on. "Sorry for not coming to visit earlier. We've been so extremely busy at the library I hardly had any time left." Wolf chuckled, although it was a sad and almost defeated laugh. "Believe it or not, things got even more hectic in the past month. One bookkeeper had to resign from his job. He was too old already, so the library let him go. Still, I wish we hadn't. You know what a hassle it is to find a new one." Acalus leaned on the door, making himself comfortable and relaxing a bit. "And don't get me started with the mess that Fox has been. Remember I told you about a month ago? Wow, it's been a whole month. Time sure flies fast, doesn't it, Father?" Curious to groove even more as Acalus started to talk about me to his dad, so I pressed my ear closer to the wall, hoping to get a perfect hearing of what he was saying. "He's irresponsible, an airhead, gets distracted easily, and makes me waste hours of my day tutoring him about basic subjects." Oh. He's shit-talking. Oh. Dang. I didn't think Acalus held me in low regard like that. It is us. Well, I suppose my arrival to his life has been very disruptive. Remember, that's what I told you last month? But even with all that, he's funny, kind, always listens to me, and he's the first person who actually cares. Oh, never mind, he's not shit-talking. Collis liked that. It's strange, Father. I was raised into thinking that people were nothing but stepping stones. You create relationships because of need. A man marries a woman because he wants an heir. A woman marries a man because she wants stability. Friendships are established because you desire something from the other person. People are intranscendental. And yet, I find myself drawn towards him. Worst thing is, Eli has nothing that could be of interest to me. Nothing at all. Despite that, he's the only relationship that, to this day, I hold close to my heart. Makes me laugh with his silliness, and I feel so at ease when I'm around him. As if the rest of the world didn't matter at all. It's the strangest feeling. I stood frozen, my heart pounding in my chest as I listened to Acollis' soft words. Hearing Acollis say all those nice things about me makes my insides feel jittery. As if 1,000 butterflies were flying around in my gut. Acollis, who always seemed so composed, so self-assured, keeping everyone at arm's length, even me. I would have never guessed that he thought of me in this way. It felt strange hearing him talk so openly, though, especially to his father, who I wasn't even sure could hear him. For a brief moment, I felt guilty for eavesdropping. This was a deeply private conversation, not meant for anyone else's ears. Thought of having them alone and pretending nothing happened across my mind, and that would be the right thing to do. I wish you could meet him, Father. He's a mess, but I think you two would get along. I bit my lip, fighting the urge to step forward to reveal myself. Part of me wanted to run over and tell him I was here. I didn't have to hide who he was around me ever, and then hug him so tight his ribs would break. But another part of me was afraid that seeing me now might shatter whatever quiet connection we had. I mean, what if he thinks I was spying on him like a creep? I want that to happen. I miss you, Father. Acollis whispered, his voice thick with emotion. I hope you're still in there somewhere. That you can still hear me. He paused, and for a second there, I could swear I saw a tear running down his cheek. I need you. You have no idea how much. I don't know what I'm doing. I've been trying to keep it all together, but sometimes it feels like everything's slipping through my fingers. I could really use your help right now. Wolf stopped mid-sentence, probably hoping that by some miracle his father, who had been silent the whole time, talked back to him. Well, I have to go. It was nice talking to you, Father. I'll try to come back sooner. For a long silence, Acollis finally straightened up, brushing his hand lightly against the door one last time before stepping away. Shoulders were slumped, a defeated look on in his face as he turned back towards the corridor. Quickly retreated, making sure he wouldn't spot me. I just wasn't ready to face him just yet, not after hearing everything he had just said. Although I knew that I needed to discuss this with him sooner or later. Man, even though I'm worried about Almond and I'm really scared of Roderick, I can't let Acollis alone with those piranhas he calls family. So, with the heavy heart, I decided to ignore the weeping wolf and instead focus my attention on accompanying Acollis to his reunion. But to do that, I need to change and freshen up. To the shower I go, then. It's bath time. Crisp evening air brushed against my fur as I stood outside the Royal Library, waiting for Acollis to show up. The suit I was wearing, which was far too formal for my taste, felt stiff against it. Just like last time. Goddesses, I hate this freaking thing. It's hard to breathe and it makes me feel like I can't move freely. I hugged at the collar, trying to loosen the tightness around my neck, feeling more and more impatient with each passing second. Ugh, where is he? It's been 40 minutes! I said to myself, tapping my foot impatiently as I kept struggling with the damn shirt. The massive stone building loomed before me, looking just as fancy and imposing as the royal castle itself, but on a smaller scale. Golden lanterns flickered faintly, casting a soft glow on the steps leading up to the entrance. No music or talking could be heard coming from inside, so it didn't really look like any sort of celebration was being held in this place. A chill ran down my spine as I imagined myself being forced to start awkward conversations or having to smile in front of people I didn't know. I mean, it's probably obvious by now, but I've never been one for formal gatherings. Or most social events, for that matter. And yet here I am, ready to dive into one for a friend. I sighed, glancing up at the starry sky, trying my best to keep my mind from racing. Although that didn't last for long, as it quickly started to pace in frustration again, not being able to control my thoughts. Maybe I can still leave. Yeah, I'm sure no one would notice. I can tell him I had a terrible accident and... You look good, Eli. I'm glad you could make it. Ah! Lamau. In the middle of planning my escape scheme, a familiar voice called from behind, snapping my attention back to reality. I turned around and smiled at the wolf, trying my best to shove down and bury every single thought about escaping. Hey, you also look nice? Wolf was wearing his typical robes, which made me wonder if maybe I was overdressed. I was expecting you to wear something more formal. Well, this is what I always wear for work, and this is a work meeting, so there was no need to get on one of those uncomfortable suits. Nicholas's casual demeanor contrasted sharply with my own discomfort in the stiff suit, which made my cheeks turn a little red. I was totally overdressed, wasn't I? Damn it, I know I would mess this up somehow. Well, you could have warned me, okay? You know? Yes, apologies. I suppose I forgot to mention the dress code in my letter. On the bright side, though, you look really good in that suit. Nicholas's compliment caught me off guard, and I quickly glanced away, trying to hide the blush creeping up my face. Thanks. I muttered, my fingers fidgeting with the cuffs of the jacket and a soft chuckle making my cheeks turn even redder. You're probably overthinking it, so please, try to relax. Wolf gave me a gentle nudge on the shoulder before leading the way towards the doors of the Royal Library. The inside of the library looked just as I remembered it, with a slight difference that it wasn't completely desolated this time. A small crowd had formed around the main lobby where most of the noise was coming from. But I wouldn't call these guests a crowd, as there were just 20 old-looking men talking among themselves. Most of them turned around to meet Nicholas, offering him fake smiles and empty compliments. None turned to greet me, which was weirdly nice, as I didn't want to interact with these geezers more than necessary. It honestly gave me the creeps. We will need to rearrange the entire bird and reptiles biology section. With the latest discoveries on evolution, all we thought we knew is being morphed. A very excited old man said it to Nicholas as Wolf tried to have a drink. Probably to calm his nerves. Do not be ridiculous. It is impossible for birds and reptiles to be related. It is simply an absurd theory. Another old man joined the conversation, shutting down his companion's claims entirely. The two guys kept fighting over birds and reptiles for a while, a chance Nicholas and I took to swiftly escape the situation. Man, are they like this all the time? More or less, yes. They're all pretty stubborn and difficult to deal with. Especially those two, always fighting about biology and whatnot. Nicholas drank from his glass of wine before slowly rubbing his temples. I, on the other hand, couldn't help but stifle a laugh as I watched Nicholas take another sip. He was clearly using alcohol as the only means to get through the night. Well, I don't envy you. If I had to listen to that all day, I'd lose it. I whispered, leaning closer to him as we tried to keep the conversation to ourselves. Nicholas sighed, swirling the wine in his glass absent-mindedly. You get used to it, though it doesn't make it any less exhausting. He glanced around the room, his sharp eyes scanning the familiar faces of scholars. Most of whom were too wrapped up in their own intellectual debates to even notice us. You think if I make some sort of crazy theory about an uncategorized species, they will let me in on the fun? Maybe throw an unknown bird-lizard hybrid to spice things up? Nicholas chuckled, though there was a weariness to it. Please don't, that would be too much work for me. He'll most likely ask me to organize an entire symposium just to disprove you. We made our way towards a quieter corner of the library, far from the loud conversations and endless debates. I placed my hand on Nicholas' shoulder in an attempt to make him feel less stressed out. So, how long until the party actually starts? The man looked back at me with a tired smile, drinking the rest of his wine. The fun part hasn't even started yet. They're late. Who are? Just I asked, had the library's doors opened wide, allowing the night breeze to slip through. Some of the candles around the room were blown off by, making the ambience feel even colder. A pair of crim wolves made their way into the room, and I immediately recognized them as Nicholas' relatives. Draculus and his daughter Petra strolled through the library's lobby as if they owned the place. All the bookkeepers bowed their heads as they greeted the pair. Meanwhile, Nicholas was looking at them as if they were a pair of cockroaches that had somehow crawled onto his dinner plate. I tried not to chuckle, as the wolf was clearly failing at masking his true emotions. As it becomes too apparent, I nudged him on the side, trying to snap him off whatever trance he was into. Fix your face. I whispered into his ear, and Nicholas quickly composed himself, his jaw tightening as he forced him a more neutral expression. Thank you. Eventually, father and daughter reached our side, both of them smiling to greet Nicholas, although one of those was clearly fake.
Hiya, cuz.
Nephew. What a pleasant surprise. The man said with a certain disgust, as if merely speaking to Nicholas would get him infected of some sort of disease. You've done a decent job at preparing this meeting. I suppose I owe you my thanks. And for the love of the goddess, will someone shut that damn door? As if he were the master of an orchestra, a single movement of his hand and 3 men were already at the door closing it shut. I looked at him, trying to comprehend how he could even be related to such a gentle soul as Acalis. They could honestly not be any more different from each other. Good evening, Uncle, Lady Petra. It is a pleasure to have you here. Still, even after such a display, Acalis took the high road and put on his best act. I see you brought your friend with you. The older wolf turned to me, a smirk appearing on his face as he met my gaze. Damn, he's just as unlikable as I remember. Greetings to both of you. I decided not to be rude and kindly addressed the 2 wolves, bowing my head as a sign of respect. Lady Petra smiled at me while her father just frowned, not even trying to hide his discomfort.
Ah, my dear test subject. What a pleasure to see you again. If we have the time, we could definitely continue with our experiment. We're gonna remove your fingers and replace them with sausages. The kind from the supermarket.
Lady Petra said with a childish grin plastered all over her face. Meanwhile, both Acalis and Dracolis raised an eyebrow at her little interaction. Test subject? It's a long story. Well, no matter. Did you prepare what I asked you, or do I have to do everything around here? Acalis' uncle disregarded my presence entirely, only directing the conversation at the wolf. Yes, Uncle, the stage is ready. Protection circle has been casted around the stage. Hopefully this time she won't burn anything.
That time it was just a miscalculation. This time my precious crystal has been properly calibrated.
Petra's excitement was met by Acalis' frown, who clearly doesn't trust his cousin. Although I would not trust her as well, given the stunt she pulled off at the royal ball. In any case, do try to stand inside the circle at all times.
Aye, aye.
Petra just brushed aside his cousin's concern, meaning that she is either overconfident or just an idiot. Or maybe both. In any case, if you'll excuse us, we have a presentation to give. As Dracalis and Petra made their way to prepare for the presentation, Acalis sighed heavily, like the strain evident in his posture. Let's go, he said as he glanced at me, his wariness amplified in the dim lighting of the library. I followed him without hesitation, neither of us wishing to stay and watch whatever spectacle Petra was about to do. We moved through the hallways until we reached a door leading to a small private office tucked away in a quiet corner of the library. Acalis introduced this place as his personal study, though this looked more like a broom closet than an office. Acalis slumped into a chair, exhaling in frustration. He looked at me for a second before motioning me to sit down. Nice place. Pretty cozy. Yeah, thanks. Only place where there's some peace and quiet. The wolf sighed deeply, slouching on the couch as he looked through the small window. Noticing this, I decided to sit as well, looking directly into Acalis' eyes, or at least trying to as he insisted in looking away. However, after a few seconds of silence, I asked him a simple yet loaded question. Are you okay? No answer. Wolf merely sighed once more and then adjusted himself in the chair. Do you really enjoy this? I asked out of the blue, and this time there was a clear reaction. The question had been on my mind for a while, especially after watching how much stress this line of work seemed to put him on. Are you really happy? Acalis stared at his wine glass for a moment, swirling the black liquid before taking a long sip. Then his eyes met mine, and for the first time tonight, the mask he'd been wearing slipped just a little. I do enjoy it, from time to time. It's my father's legacy, after all. I have to like it. This is the only thing I have left of him. His work, his research, his reputation. If I abandon it, what does that make me? I could feel Acalis' pain through these words, which were carrying not just his own burden, but the memory of his father. It's far from easy, though, and some days I even wonder if I'm just fooling myself. The room fell silent for a moment, the only sound being the faint murmurs of the crowd from the lobby. The weight of his words lingered in the air, and I shifted uncomfortably in my seat. Acalis, the guy who always seemed so composed, was now sitting across from me in this dimly lit, cramped office, looking more worn down than ever. I hesitated before speaking, unsure of how to approach the situation, but the thought had been gnawing at me for a while now. You know, it's not my business, but maybe it's time you stopped living through your father's legacy. Acalis' eyes flicked up from the glass window, narrowing slightly. For a second, it looked like he wanted to say something, but he just resorted to sighing and looking down. Acalis, you've dedicated yourself to his work, his research, his reputation, but what about you? Now, maybe I was overstepping a little, but I think he needs to hear this. What about the things you like? Any hobbies, any relationships outside of the library circle? I just think maybe you should try something different. You're not him, Akalis. You're your own person. Maybe it's time to figure out what you want outside of all this. Akalis liked that. He stared at me, the tension in his posture softening just a little as if my words caught him off guard. It's not that simple. This is all I know, all I have. If I lose it, I fear there will be nothing left. I am the Grand Master. Aside from that, what am I? The wolf clenched his fist so hard I feared he would draw blood. I offered him a soft smile, trying to be as supportive as I could. You are someone who has many options. You should find something new that you actually enjoy. You can't keep sacrificing your happiness for something that's not even yours. Akalis just sat there, staring into the window once more as if searching for answers. I understand what you mean, but this is my path. Just like my father's and his father and the many ones before him. I can't give up. I just can't. First time ever, Akalis' walls broke down entirely and I could finally see what laid under the surface. The often stoic and cold wolf was now a little scared puppy. He tilted his head sideways a little, trying to hide tears from my view, portraying himself as an unyielding scholar. Yet the low and gentle sniffles betrayed his intentions. Well, if that's what you want, you don't have to carry this weight alone. I'm here, if you want me to be. Akalis out a shaky breath, his tears slowly subsiding. He pulled back after a while, wiping his face with the back of his hand, embarrassed by the vulnerability he had just shown. I'm sorry. You didn't need to see that. Don't apologize. We're friends, aren't we? This is what I'm here for. Yeah, friends. Akalis muttered that word almost as if it were foreign to him, like a completely unknown concept that he's just starting to comprehend. He shifted in his seat, trying to straighten up, as though willing himself to regain some semblance of control. I'm not used to leaning on people. At least not like this. I smiled softly, trying to lighten the mood, grabbing his hand and squeezing it tight. Well, maybe it's time you got used to it. Okay, damn! Damn! Okay, Jaden, developer. Hear this. Did you at least kiss the brick before smashing it into my face? That was not the longest stream ever. It was just barely 2 hours. Still not the longest stream ever. Yeah, did they at least kiss the brick before smashing it into our faces? Yeah, the longest was 4 hours. And that was Soul Creek. Anyways, stay safe, have a good night. I hope they kissed the bullet before shooting, and I will see you all tomorrow.